All right, hello there everyone. It's Brad Turville here. And now with a lot of your teams working from home, some in the office, some dispersed, it's never been a better time than to look at how you're managing your team, because you can't just walk into the office next door or tap the person on the shoulder just sitting next to you, because there's no one really sitting next to you. We're all in our individual homes at the moment. So I want to share a couple of no-brainer strategies that you should be using even when you're back in the office. This is best practice. I call it modern firm practices. And so it's even more compounded now and probably required even more right now as we're all a little bit isolated and at home. So only a couple of quick ones today. First one is called the daily huddle. This is a quick meeting that you have every morning with your team. If you've got a couple of teams, you might have an audit team, you might have a tax team, and within that there might be a couple of teams. You have it in your own little pods, okay? It's called stand-up. It's called a daily huddle, but you want to run it like a stand-up meeting. They're just more effective. But how do we do it if we're all at home? So we need to use some technology. So everyone's now using Zoom, so you can do it on Zoom. You can also use communication tools, and the two most common ones are going to be Slack and Microsoft Teams. And you want to ask at least 3 questions. And it goes around and everyone has to answer all of these 3 questions. And so the 3 questions are, the first one, hey, have you had any wins in the last 24 hours? Why? Well, because we always want to celebrate the small wins. Now, I understand we're in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic at the moment. There might be truckloads of wins, but there might also be some wins. You might be able to help some clients access certain things, change their business model, connect them with another non-competing client that's got the same target market. There could be a number of wins that could come from this. So what were the wins? The second one is, what are you working on today? So if you're their manager, you always want to know what's on your agenda today, because that does 2 things. The first is they as your team member, they need to actually know what they're working on, okay? So it forces them to be organized first thing in the morning. And secondly, you now know what they're working on. So if you need to rejuggle the structure, there might be certain things in what they're going to work on today that is more of a priority, which they might not be aware of. So that gives you the opportunity first thing in the morning to say, hey, you know that thing there? I want you to do that straight at first thing in the morning. In fact, that's the most important thing for you to do today. And that might be really insightful for the team member, because in their mind, they'll have all these things to do, and that thing that's important for you as a manager, they may not have seen it as important, and they might have started working on that at 2 or 3 o'clock. Now, will they still complete it today? Yes, but by having that conversation in the morning, you can emphasize how important it is, and for them to put that right at the top of their priority list. So once this meeting's finished, bang, they get straight into that. So that was the second question. What are you working on today? The third one is, what are the roadblocks getting in your way? Okay, so where you're struggling, where have you got any roadblocks? People might be struggling with certain clients. They might be struggling getting access to someone. They might be waiting on an answer to something. They might actually be waiting on you as the partner or the client manager or the team leader, let's say. They might be waiting on you for something. So that's an opportunity for you to realize, okay, well, here's an urgency. I need to make some time for this now, because if I don't help this team member with this particular issue, they're stuck. They can't go anywhere, and well, that's my fault. And so I need to own that, and I need to help them with it. So they're the 3 questions, and you go around and everyone has to answer them. Wins in the last 24 hours. What are you working on today? What are you struggling with? That's at the base minimum, those 3. So that's the daily huddle. Next one. Weekly one-on-ones. So I want you to have a weekly one-on-one chat with everyone in your team. Now, if you're saying, but Brad, I've got 25 people that are direct reports in my team, I'm going to say, that's too many people reporting to you. That's a different video and a different conversation. But weekly one-on-ones gives you a little bit of personal one-on-one time with each person in your team. And it doesn't just have to be work related. You don't just have to talk about tax or billables or a client that's a pain in the neck. It could also be what's going on outside of work and how's that marathon that you're training for, and you must be nearly finished your MBA by now. And it's just making it a bit more personable and caring and showing some empathy towards your team members, because you've got to remember, there's 24 hours in a day and they're spending 8 hours of those 24 working within your organization. So the weekly one-on-ones gives you a bit of a check-in. You might find out some stuff. You might find someone's maybe a bit underperforming, and when you have a chat to them, you really then find out what's going on, and that gives you the opportunity to give them some support and a little bit of guidance. The weekly one-on-one, it doesn't have to be massive. You might, quickly nick out and grab a coffee and drink a coffee. If you're doing it online now because everyone's at home, then just jump on Zoom. Maybe both make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee or a kombucha and just have a little bit of a chat and have a check-in. Because if you're a manager or you're a partner, your role is to be leading and inspiring your team and managing your team. And what does that mean? That means managing people. I understand you've got a million things to do. I'm not saying you don't, but part of that role, if you've got people that report through to you and you're managing them, this needs to be a priority. And we're only as good as the people around us. You already know the great people within your organization, within your team, they are what make that organization and the client experience great. Weekly reporting. So we love our numbers, so let's look at some numbers every single week. There's probably only 3 at a minimum that we need to look at. You might want to dial in a few more that are maybe more specific to what you want to see, the size of your firm, how you work. So some firms that price up front, they don't need to look at things like debtor days. So there's going to be some nuances and specifics to your firm. But 3 I would be looking at a minimum, and this is just from a team perspective, is what's everyone's billables for the week? So how much has everyone hit the clock if that's how you still run your organization, which is the majority? How productive has everyone been? And then what has the average hourly rate been for everyone? And so it'd probably be good to see those reports before you have your one-on-ones, because you might be able to weave it into the conversation. Hey, you're up this week. Hey, you're down this week. If someone's down, you want to know why your billable's down, why is your productivity down, what's going on? Let's have a chat. On the flip side, if someone's up, if someone has just crushed it this week, what have you done? What have you done this week? What did you put in your coffee to make this happen? So you want to learn from that, and there might have been new things they tried. They might have won new clients. You want to see what comes from that, and then how can you educate the rest of the team. You might then want to put a little bit of time aside to then take that knowledge and go and teach the rest of the team. You don't want it siloed to this one person. If they're knocking it out of the park and everyone else is just going on easy street, well, we want to learn from that. And so by looking at some numbers weekly and chatting to everyone one-on-one weekly, keep in mind when you do the one-on-ones, it's going to be a different level of conversation than in the daily huddle. Why? Because it's one-on-one. It's now a little bit more personal. Okay? And you need to keep it like that, but you'll get a little bit more of an insight. So the fourth thing that I want to share it's called the traffic light system. Okay, we all know what a traffic looks like. There's a red light, there's an orange light, and there's a green light. And this can make it a little bit more fun with the team, but you want to be able to check in and ask them, okay, what's your traffic light? And people are either going to say that they're red or they're orange and they're green. And this is how I want you to use it, okay? A red light means someone is way over capacity. They're not going to be able to get to all the work. They've got work coming out of their ears. They're stressed. They're probably going to be slow getting back to customers. There might then be an issue of quality if they're rushing to try and get work done. So red is a red light. It's a red flag. That obviously means bad. You're over capacity. We need to give you some attention to work out what's going on and how can we give you a bit more breathing room. So that's what red looks like. Orange is you're in the middle. You've got enough work to keep you busy. You're not going to run out of work, but you're not stressed and over capacity and got way too much work. So that's where they are with that orange or the amber light in the middle. Green is, well, I could probably take on more work. I haven't got enough. I've got some work to do, but I've definitely got capacity to bring on more work. So that's a quick way to check in with the team and see where is everyone at the moment. Who's a red light, who's an orange light, who's a green light, and how can we maybe rejuggle the workloads and what's going on to help support everyone. Because the red ones, we don't want too much red, because quality is going to drop, they're going to be unhappy, they're going to be stressed. You're then going to be breathing down the neck asking why work hasn't been done, and that makes them even more stressed. And then on the flip side, we've got the greens that are under capacity, and we want to be able to fill them up, not to obviously red level, but we want to fill people up so, if they're meant to be 80% productive for the week, we want them at 80. If they're at 50, that's an issue. If the red guys are at 200% productivity, obviously I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean, when it's hectic, which is what things are like right now, we want to do what we can to try and relieve that. And I'm saying this in the context of a normal operating environment. At the moment, we're still within COVID. We're hopefully coming into a recovery phase. Everyone might be in a little bit of have a red traffic light at the moment. That's just how it's going to be, but it's short term. I want you to think longer term. We're going to come out of this. We're going to come out of it soon at some point in time, but just think of the context. The context, everyone's probably going to be red at the moment. I'm juggling things to try and support everyone. So let's go over them again. Daily huddle every morning. Set a time. Do it at 8:55 a.m. Do it at 8:30 a.m. Do it at 9:10 in the morning. Doesn't matter, but set it at the same time every day. If you can't do it all together, jump on Zoom, jump on Slack. The tech doesn't matter as long as you're doing it. Weekly one-on-ones. Check in with everyone weekly. If they just need to be quicker 15, 20-minute personal check-ins at the moment, start somewhere. I'm not asking you to spend a half day with everyone. Just start somewhere, especially now you want to be checking in with people. Weekly reporting, you want to keep a little tab on what is going on, as opposed to only looking at it monthly or quarterly, or I talk to some accountants and they've got no idea what their numbers are. So good practice to get into, and hey, it's the numbers. That should be the easiest thing there for you. Lastly, traffic light system, super easy. Red over capacity, orange we're perfect. It's the Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold. Green, I need more work. I've got some, but I've got capacity to bring on new work. Hope those 4 are useful. I want you to implement them. They do seriously help running the team and running a well-oiled machine, so please go and do it.